So I'm super excited to share with you a bit more about the platform that actually drives everything that you have seen so far. All of the features and capabilities that were shown earlier, I want to dive a bit deeper into showing you under the hood how we make it so that you can build with us safely, securely, and at scale. So Workato is a cloud-native, elastic, serverless platform. But what does that really mean for you? This means that every single time we make an update, your production workflows are safe, but you get to utilize the latest offerings that we have. It also means that if you run one job today, 10 tomorrow, and a million the week after, it does not matter. You do not need to worry about peak provisioning or servers. We handle all of that every single time. And this is because our entire runtime is completely containerized. And what that means is that we're now able to build upon this consistent build and security experience, offering it across a variety of features. This is what allows us to have data pipelines, API platforms, workflow apps so easily and so seamlessly. We offer zero downtime upgrades. So every single time we make a change, you're safe. But Workato has spent the last 10 years developing things so that developers don't have to worry about production-ready workflows. And what that means is we have triggers that ensure that every single event is processed only once in queue. You never have to worry about concurrency issues coming up and you not having to do duplication on your own end. What that also means is our credential management goes above and beyond just simple API tokens. We have end-user connection. These scoped connections is what you interact with when you look at our platform on Go, across Slack, Genies, or even MCP. This ensures that any single time you interact with any of our services, we make sure that only your data is accessible to you, and only the actions you perform can be carried out by these agents. We also have connectors that have built-in retries, and so if anything goes down, if the end system goes into an issue, we handle it. Your jobs never run into issues. And that is the power of the Workato platform that we offer to developers when you go out and build your integrations and automations. But Workato goes more than that for data security and compliance. We want you to make sure that as CISOs and security teams, you can be rest assured that we cover every single thing. We go beyond the basics of RBAC and SSO. We encrypt all of your data at rest and in transit using customer-specific keys that are rotated on an hourly basis. No other platform does that. And then we took it a step further. We allow you to bring your own encryption keys so you can encrypt your data in a way that we can't even access it if you do not provide us the key. And we also continue that by having what we call an external secret manager. You want a unified way to manage your credentials to your most sensitive applications. Even your developers should not be having access to it. And so we allow you to store these in a central manner, manage them centrally, and only provide the reference to Workato, and that's all you need to do. We even have audit log streaming, so every single action that is performed on our platform can be streamed for auditability and for your compliance purposes. So what does all the security and production readiness really get you? What this means is that now you're set up for the AI era, for the agentic era, with your seatbelts on. You don't have to go into this alone, and you can do this in a safe and secure manner. And the first I want to be talking about is Model Context Protocol. So imagine you're John from marketing, and you just want to go ahead and build out a social media post for the latest Q3 numbers. You have to go look into Google Sheets to get the latest numbers. You have to look into Figma to look at the brand guidelines. You then have to go and look into Jira to actually go ahead and put an update on the ticket. And you're constantly context switching. And what you really just want is to go to Claude and say, hey, give me a draft to get started. And you're not able to do that, and you're constantly juggling between all of these tabs. And that is where MCP comes in. MCP provides a natural language interface to LLMs and AI agents, allowing them to understand what they have access to and what tools and applications they can work with. The MCP client, in this case Claude, goes ahead and says to all of these applications, what actions can I perform? It gets back a list of these tools and then is actually able to execute upon them in a manner that is intuitive for AI agents. As of today, most of the MCP servers that you'll see out there are local. they interact with these applications on script that is running or code that is running on developers' laptops with stray API tokens. And that is a nightmare for governance and security. Ideally, you want to be interacting with remote MCP servers that directly interface with the cloud APIs. But what we have seen today is that most applications don't actually have remote MCP servers. And so you might then end up relying on registries, some public source APIs or public source MCP service, and these could be bogus. You might end up with a MCP server that is actually masquerading as something else, have your credentials stolen. But even in the ideal scenario, you actually utilize a remote MCP server from the application provider themselves, there are a host of issues for you to consider. You have authentication and authorization, logging and access and governance. And what all that really means is that when you want to go out and give access to your entire enterprise to these MCP servers, to the right set of users with the right set of access, you're unable to do so. So the power of MCP ends up curtailed significantly. And that is why I'm so happy to talk about Workato's Enterprise MCP Server. It is a no-code way for you to compose and deploy MCP servers to all the applications within your ecosystem, and it opens up the power of the Workato platform. And I want to talk a bit about this composability aspect of it, because MCP are so much more than just two APIs, right? They're just more than API wrappers. They are tools where you want to compose the logic. You might want to chain multiple actions and build out what we spoke earlier about enterprise skills, actually, to ensure that your LLMs can work more intuitively with them. We also offer you authorization, quotas, PII controls, and everything that you come to expect from an enterprise-grade platform. And to see it all in action, I would love to invite Jasper up on stage. All right, Jasper, let's see what you got.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. OK, so here's the use case, right? You described the situation with John. I'm sure every marketer knows this pain, trying to juggle through Jira, Drive, Figma, Slack, just to get one thing done. I want to take that potentially up to 15-minute marketing headache and turn it into a 30-second solution just with this initial prompt I'm going to give my Claude agent. So I've typed into here, update the campaign visuals based on our Q3 learnings, and create tickets for the design team. And let's watch what happens. OK, immediately, Claude is attempting to search through my Google Drive files. And what we notice as the very first thing that happens is that Claude is actually attempting to call my Google Drive, but it tells me, oh, I need you to first authorize your own Google Drive access. So let me open that link and go through OAuth. And this is a really important call out here. AI deciding to call that API, it's doing it on behalf of me, right? It's not using a service account that has really broad permissions to my Google Drive. It's prompting me to authorize my own account. OK, so I will go ahead and tell it I'm authorized. Oops.
Very excited.
Yeah, very excited.
Awesome. So could you maybe show us what would you have to be doing if you did not have this MCP server, right?
Yeah, so if I didn't have the MCP, as a marketer, I'd have to go into my Jira account. Maybe I'd try to figure out which projects the relevant issues are in. I'd have to click into each ticket and figure out what updates have been made since the last time I looked at it. I'd have to go through my Google Drive and figure out, oh, where was that analytics report? Is it in this analytics folder? Is it in Q3, Q4? Once I find the report, I have to dig through some Google spreadsheet and read all of the metrics. And then if there's any Figma files that we're working on, OK, I'd have to go into Figma, read some comments in Figma. You can imagine I'd have to take all that context and wrap it up into something actually usable. And it would take me a pretty long amount of time.
Yeah, I'm surprised your Chrome hasn't hanged yet.
Yeah, I have a lot of tabs open right now. So let's check back in with our agent now. We can see that it's taken my authorization and just immediately started executing these actions. It has searched Google Drive 3 times, searched my Jira tickets. Oh, it's also getting a specific Figma file comments, and worked on creating some tickets, attaching a file to Jira.
Well, maybe you could share a bit about how it knew which Figma files or Jira tickets to look at and create, right?
Yeah, so that's a really, really good question, because like you mentioned before, this isn't just about exposing raw APIs. We actually wrapped these tools from multiple different applications into the same MCP so that the agent has the context it needs to call the right tools at the right time. So if we open up one of the search Jira tickets skill, we can actually find the asset ID from a Figma file, and it uses that to get the comments from Figma, all contained in the same MCP.
Awesome.
Now,
looks like it's done.
Yeah, so it finished up, right? Successfully updated the campaign visual strategy, gave me a summary, links me to 3 different Jira tickets, and great. It also looks like it sent a Slack message to my team with that update. So if you look over in Slack, yeah, the same update was sent to my team with links to those tickets directly.
So, but how did you go ahead and build this on Workato? Could you share a bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So we started with this marketing API, right? It's an API collection that we built for the marketing team with endpoints specific to their job function to deal with attaching files to Jira, sending Slack messages, searching Jira tickets, searching Google files, et cetera. Now, what I want to dig into one of these tools to show the composability of these APIs to really indicate that these aren't just wrappers around the raw APIs. So if we look at the attach file to Jira API endpoint, this is doing a composite action between both Google Drive and Jira, where it's taking a file ID from Google Drive, downloading the content, and uploading it into the Jira ticket. Now, if we tried to get AI to do that on its own, you would get any number of results. It would probably do this right some of the time, but it's much better
to leave it to chance, right?
Right, you don't want to leave that to chance.
You know exactly the business process that you are trying to go at. You want to map some information, and this is going to be done every single time deterministically, while you leave AI to figure out the stochastic aspect.
Exactly. So
this is great, but how does the MCP server look?
Right. Okay, so we take our API collection, and we're going to go over to Workato's AI Hub, and we'll create a new MCP server from our existing collection. I'll hit create, and that was it, right? 4 clicks, and you have a fully enterprise-grade, production-ready MCP server. All you really need to do is take this remote MCP URL and copy it, paste it into whatever tool you want to use the MCP in.
So this is actually exposing all of the capability, all of the various applications with this single MCP server. That's really cool.
That was it, yep.
Could you share a bit about maybe how the end-user authorization looks like?
Yeah, so for that existing MCP that I was using, this is controlled through Workato identity, which grants access via groups to the specific MCP server with OAuth 2. And we can control which groups have access to which MCP super easily. And there is one other option. I mean, you could switch the method to a token-based access, but for the purposes of being able to control the runtime connections that the MCP is using to execute with my credentials, we're connecting it to Workato identity in order to provide that feature. So if we go into our runtime user connections, I kind of refresh this, you'll see a new connection was just created a couple minutes ago from the authorization of my Google Drive account.
This is super exciting. So we went from, in a few minutes, a few clicks, for allowing marketing to go ahead and utilize all of these applications, composing an MCP server, and exposing it out. I'm super excited for the process.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jasper.